Well, I came back from a trip the other week, and our testimony recorder said, yeah, well, you were gone. We got 4 doctor-confirmed cases of cancer being healed. Wow. Like, if that's the case, I should go away more often. But one of those has a trail of testimonies that kind of follow it. It's pretty amazing. And so the story is that this gentleman came, he had cancer in his esophagus, and got prayer, went down under the power, got up, knowing that God had done something, but obviously had to go back to the doctor and get it checked out. So he left, and then the next week, a lady who was a friend of his came into the healing rooms, and this gentleman's from Fresno, so she came up from Fresno to the healing rooms. She had had a titanium hip put in, and because of the operation several years earlier, had lost all the feeling in her right leg and the movement in her right foot. She couldn't move it at all. She goes down. When she gets up, all the feeling in her leg is restored, and the movement in her foot is back. Her husband, who received prayer for his sinuses and for his eyesight, didn't have anything amazing happen during the prayer. But as they were walking from the healing room over to where they filmed testimonies, he's walking over there, and all of a sudden he goes, I could take a deep breath. My sinuses are completely healed. And then, right at that moment, his eyesight goes fuzzy. So he takes his contacts out and realizes his eyes are completely healed. Well, the gentleman who had been, during the testimony, she's filming the testimony, she's telling the story. She said, well, the reason I'm here is because I'm friends with a gentleman who came last week who was healed of esophageal cancer. He went to the doctors confirmed that you're completely healed, so that's why I'm here. So during the months after that, he put on 20 pounds of weight. He regained weight, 20 pounds that he had lost, totally healed. So all the people around him are going, what has happened to you? Including his landlord, who had been bedridden for a long, long time, and saw the change in him, and he said, yeah, I went to the healing rooms at Bethel Church, I'll take you. So he brought his landlord up here. She gets completely healed. And he's a veteran, so he'd been being treated at the VA hospital. And so the doctors were so astounded at what happened, they didn't understand. So they form a special board, they invite in specialists just to study his case, because they don't understand what's happening. So this guy, he makes his own brochure, right? He puts together his own brochure, tells his testimony, talks about the healing rooms, gives directions to the healing rooms in his brochure, and is passing it out to all these doctors at the hospital. So all the people around him see just the transformation in him. So the last few months, every couple of weeks, he brings up a carload of people every couple of weeks with him, and he calls himself the Bethel tour guide.
That's awesome.
I have one more really short one that was cool yesterday. As you might know, we're doing Skype healing in the healing rooms now. So you can call in over Skype and get prayer over the internet from anywhere in the world. And yesterday, I felt like I was supposed to have a couple who is beyond the Skype generation, so to speak, do the ministry on the, and they're like, Skype? They didn't know how to pronounce it, and so they're praying for people on the internet. And this one lady calls in, and they pray for her, and then they hang up with her, and then 30 minutes later, she calls back and says, you prayed for me, I have diabetes, I did my tests, and all my numbers are normal. I've been healed of diabetes.
Come on.
And then the prayer servant has to admit to her, you know, I couldn't understand what you were saying earlier because the internet connection was bad. So I didn't know what you were saying. So I just prayed by faith that God knew and He would touch you. She ended up getting totally healed.
Yeah, God, that's awesome. Thank you, Lord. Thanks, Joaquin. Wow.
Last Sunday, I think it was, or maybe the Sunday before that, a young man came up to me and hands me a piece of paper, which is, it's always, you know, risky, because about a good 7 out of 10 of those are just weird. Okay? And so I didn't open it, because I never do, because I don't want the person to see the expression on my face when I think it's so weird, you know. So I just, thank you, I put it in my pocket. We were doing ministry time, and I pulled it out later to read. I found out earlier, before the young man had come, was his mom invited him to take a trip back east with her in the car. And they were going to drive back to a southeastern state where he was going to be with some relatives. And she informed him along the drive that she was going to go be with her new boyfriend and leave him in this other state. And he was obviously upset, and so he, they were arguing in the car. They stopped for gas or something. He went in the store, went in the bathroom, came out, and there was a bag on the counter. And the tenant said the attendant said, "Your mom left this for you. She left." And so this young man is now in another state without a ride on the other side of the country. So he began to hitchhike, and he was picked up by, we don't know, but sounds like a believer. They gave him a ride to his house, they fed him, they got him a bus ticket. And he took the bus back to Reading. He's homeless now. He's wandering around the streets. And I read the note a few minutes after he gave it to me without knowing any of this, and it says, "I want to thank all of you for what you're building here." He says, I was homeless, but I saw some happy people coming up the hill. So I followed them, and I came into this place. Thank you so much for radically impacting my life. And later the next week, we heard testimony that this young man has been gathered up in this community. He's been invited into your homes. He has, I'm sure Christmas was great for him. He hooked up with Chris O. Imagine that. And his life is just another planet right now. So I just want to say congratulations for being the happy people.
That's so good. Isn't that great? I followed the happy people. Come on, I followed the happy people. How many of you want to be so ridiculously happy that people just follow you to find out where you're going? May Jesus whack you with an increase. I followed the happy people. Man, I love that story. I love that story.